Aloha, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. I wanted to go over some housekeeping rules or guidelines, I should say. You can please mute yourself and use the chat if you have any questions. We are trying to reserve about 15 minutes towards the end for questions for Nicole. And as mentioned, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website after. So a little bit about the center. As you may know, our center is the Minority Business Development Agency's Enterprising Women of Color Business Center here at the YWCA, and I will give a quarter to anyone who can say that 3 times really quickly. We are one of 5 centers across the nation, funded by the U.S. Department of Commerce and its agency, Minority Business Development Agency. We're here to help businesses grow through 3 things: business analysis, market access, and access to capital. We focus on minority women-owned businesses. That said, we can serve all businesses in all the states and territories. We provide programs and services on a non-discriminatory basis. So please help us spread the word. All our services and programs are free, and to participate, all you have to do is go on our website. You can register for events just like the one today, or if you'd like to participate in our one-on-one free counseling, you just fill out the client intake form. And just a quick thing about counseling, we're so proud to offer 4 types of free counseling. We have financial counseling, business counseling, marketing counseling, and SWOT. That's SWOT, not SWAT team, as some people have asked. SWOT, that's strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I'm thrilled to kick off this new webinar series called Master Your Business. Today, we're here to talk about generating quality business opportunities and win contracts, your client value journey. Before I introduce our speaker, just a quick plug. Since this is a new series, our second webinar is actually next Tuesday. That focuses on best practices for family-owned businesses. We'll pop the URL in the chat if you're interested. And we'll also have a survey in the chat box. If you would be so kind to fill out, it's just a 1-minute, probably a 30-second survey. We'd really appreciate your feedback. So without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce today's special speaker, Nicole Wipp. We are alumni from UH Law, and but beyond that, she is a performance development expert specializing in instilling entrepreneurial processes and mindset in organizations, large and small, through helping leaders bring out the best in themselves and their teams. As a consultant and trainer dedicated to evidence-based results, Nicole practices what she preaches. She runs 2 profitable businesses, a boutique law firm, and a consulting and training firm. She's been in business for over a decade. A top-rated and experienced speaker, consultant, and trainer, Nicole's clients range from solopreneurs to companies with thousands of employees. She's worked with multiple industries, including legal, healthcare, financial, automotive, innovation, and more. Wipp Enterprises LLC, which is the parent company of the Results Catalyst, is a Kobe solutions provider, an authorized partner of Everything Disc, the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team, and is a certified Women's Business Enterprise by WeBank, which is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. Nicole is an attorney licensed to practice law in Michigan and Hawaii. I skipped over that a bit. All right. Tongue twister. So Nicole, the floor is all yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I really want to thank the center for having me today. I really appreciate you guys and the work that you do. It's so important. And so thank you again for providing this resource. So here's my question. And I am asking this, and I want you to, if you are experiencing any of these challenges, in the chat, drop a yes or say, hey, me. So are you experiencing spinning your wheels in your business? Not getting the type of traction in your business that you want to get? Or do you have a situation where you have clients or prospects wasting your time? Are you having a day or 2 or many days where people just really aren't clear on what you or your business have to offer? Do you have tire kickers contacting you? Once again, wasting your time. or just not enough people contacting you, period? Or do you have company gatekeepers keeping you from getting the business that you know that you deserve and that your company should have? Well, if your answer to any of those is yes, then you are in the right place. This is the right webinar for you. And I do want to congratulate you if you're sitting here today or you're watching this on the replay, because you're taking the time to invest time and energy into your business. And that actually is one of the most important things that we can be doing when we're trying to build up and get more revenue within our businesses, is taking the time and getting the expert help that we need. So for a lot of you, there are some people on this webinar that do know me quite well, actually, but there are many of you that don't have any idea of who I am. And so I think it's justifiable that you would be asking yourself, well, who is Nicole and why is she qualified to talk to you about this, right? Why am I qualified to even have this conversation with you? And that's the thing, is most of you probably never even heard of me before, but that's actually important, because when it comes to business and being in business and making good money in your business and getting the contracts in your business, you really don't need to be Facebook famous or an Instagram influencer or to do endless TikToks. That a lot of times when we're thinking about marketing and we're talking about marketing, that's what people think needs to happen. But I just want you to know that that is absolutely not true. And I am a great example of that, because despite the fact that you might not have heard of me before, I've actually had a lot of really great opportunities. I've been in books like Women with Money by Jean Chatzky, who, if you don't know who she is, she's on the Today Show as one of their financial experts. Who Not How, which is one of the best-selling business books right now by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. Clockwork by Michael Michalowicz. I've been on TV, I've been in articles, I've done all these presentations, I've done a lot of different things, and yet I can do all these things and have these opportunities despite the fact that I'm not Facebook famous or an Instagram influencer. And so I just want you to be aware of that and just to take that to heart for today. So a note on slides though, and a note about notes. So there are some big fact finders, people that like a lot of information in this webinar. And if you're a note taker, you like to have all the information, I want you to know that taking notes, and this is really important because I don't give out my slides. That is not something that's going to be available to you after the webinar. Now, there are some resources that I will be providing to you and will give you the link for you to have, but I don't give out all the slides. So I just want you to be aware of that so nobody gets upset or mad about that later. But today we are going to discuss the overall picture of what are the 9 stages of the client value journey, and then how each stage requires different thinking and different marketing strategies. To that end, we're going to be talking about why developing a plan at each stage of these 9 stages will help your business maximize revenue. So get the most bang out of your buck for your marketing efforts. And then also in the end, save you time and money. We're going to be talking about using the marketing trifecta to understand who your client is. Because one of the things I've realized after many years of consulting now is your client may not be who you think it is. And if you don't know for sure, you're really wasting time and money. Also, you want to understand the problem before the problem. And in a nutshell, the problem before the problem is the problem that the client thinks that they have, but that may be very different than the problem that you as the expert or the business owner knows that they have. But really understanding the problem before the problem that the client thinks they have, is a very important part of your business journey and your business's development. So let's jump right into that first part. So why is developing a plan at each stage of the value journey going to help you maximize revenue in your business and save you time and money? And I love this quote. If you know Napoleon Hill, you know that book, Think and Grow Rich. I think that's like everybody talks about it as an entrepreneurial book, Think and Grow Rich. Well, Napoleon Hill says, knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. And I want you guys to think about this. Organize, intelligently direct, practical plans of action to the definite end of the accumulation of money. Isn't that what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to get more money, make more contracts, get more business. And so these are the things that have to happen in order for that to happen. And so you want to have a plan for each stage, because then you're going to have those intelligently directed plans, and you're going to create what we call in my business incomparable market positioning. So in the Results Catalyst, which is my business, we have a thing that we call the 9 Freedom Catalysts. And incomparable market positioning is the 6th of the 9 Freedom Catalysts. But I want you to be careful, because that's true. It's only one of 9, okay? The incomparable market positioning is something that we have to maximize our revenue, but it's only one thing out of many. So I just don't want you to think that this is the be all and end all. And I know that all of you are smart and you understand that, but I'm a lawyer. I have to say these kinds of things. Like, I just want to warn you, like, let's not make assumptions about what this is going to look like. And so how do you know that you and your business have incomparable market positioning? Well, you know it when you have a clearly defined market position that is demonstrated by the fact that no one can duplicate you or your business in your client's mind. Your business stands out and stands alone. That is incomparable market positioning. And so in order for you to get full benefits of this as a catalyst, you have to plan. It isn't magic. You can't just suddenly be like, oh, my business is springing up with all of this revenue. There's plans that have to happen. But we struggle, right? Planning is a struggle. It's a struggle for all business owners. And I don't want you to think that it's just you. I promise you, I work with a lot of different businesses. Planning for revenue is actually pretty difficult, and it can be very time consuming and energy draining. And so in my experience, people sometimes avoid it as a result. But, oh my goodness, I am so sorry about that. So am I now not in the right screen for you guys? I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second and I'm going to come back. Isn't that funny? Doesn't technology really do a number on us sometimes? My apologies, everybody, but I'm going to get us back there. I promise. Okay, so the problem with making a plan is that we're often very much like this squirrel, right? The squirrel that we're running around chasing the shiny object. We're running around like a chicken with our head cut off in our business, and we're saying, where's the next thing? Where's the next thing? We're trying to find that next nut, so to speak. And that distraction that we have in our business can be our enemy. And part of this happens, and you guys know this, from, you're hearing, well, you got to do this and you got to do this. And you have this guru saying, and then you have your friends, oh, here's an idea. Or, you talk to other business owners and it's like, oh, this is the answer. And hey, try my tactic. And so, at the end of the day, we can get ourselves really tied up and confused. And this is very common. And that's why making plans can be very difficult. But I always say a lack of clarity is the enemy of success. And the only way that you're going to be able to make good plans for yourself and your business is by having some clarity. And so that's what the client value journey does for us, is it helps us understand what are each of the places that we need to be. And then we can start planning for what am I doing in each one of those places? Because I always say, I want to help you be more like, the thing about a squirrel that I find very fascinating is no matter what, they get a bad rap because we always say, oh, squirrel, because we equate that with being very distracted and chasing shiny objects, right? But you know what's really cool about a squirrel also is that they can twist and turn their bodies through the air. They can get flung into the air and they can twist and turn their bodies through there, and they can lock on a destination. And it doesn't matter. They're flailing through the air, they're flopping through the air, but they keep their eyes locked on that destination. And then guess what? They land in that destination every single time. And so even when we as business owners feel like we're flying through the air, everything's out of control, as long as we know that we can lock on a destination, then we can land there. We will have such a better chance of achieving success and landing where we want to be, but we have to be able to lock there. And that's what a lot of us struggle with, is what does that mean to lock there? And so the value journey is really what helps us get there. Okay. The reason why we have to think about planning for each stage, though, is because each stage does require a different plan. And this is because each of the client's needs, awareness, wants, etc., are going to be different at each stage of their journey. So you can't just leap from one place to another. You have to sequentially go through. And you're going to see what I mean as I talk about it. But I just want you to understand, like, just as we go through different buying journeys, so do our clients. And so we have to be aware of what that means. So to do that, we first have to understand what the marketing trifecta is, and we have to understand who our client is. Like I said earlier, it may not be who you think it is. When we're trying to sell to people, you ever heard of this phrase, know, like, and trust? All right. Anybody that has not heard of this idea that in order to get people to buy from you, they have to know, like, and trust from you? Is there anybody that this is a new concept to them? No. Okay. That's right. Because know, like, and trust is what leads to sale. We have to get people to know our business. We have to get people to like what our business has to offer, or like us as providers. And then they have to be able to trust that what we have to offer is going to be their solution. And that is the trifecta that leads to sales. But to get to that sales trifecta, we have to complete what I call the marketing trifecta. And the marketing trifecta is when you understand who the right person is, you give them the right messages using the right medium. And until you complete the marketing trifecta, you can't get to the sales trifecta. So to be very specific about that, planning for the marketing trifecta through the client value journey is what is going to make your sales much easier to accomplish. And this will lead to ever increasing amount of sales for you and for your business. So when we think about that marketing trifecta, the first thing we have to do is understand who we're really talking to. Who is the right person? I'm curious. Well, I'll ask you that after this slide. So you do this so that you can stay laser focused on your highest revenue potential clients, and so that you can quit wasting time and money. You know how earlier in the very first slide, I asked you who feels like people are tire kicking and wasting their time, and you're wasting your money. You want to focus on the right person for that reason. Has anybody in here, and please in the chat say, have you ever had an experience, for those of you especially that deal with corporate, or even, it doesn't even matter if you don't deal with corporate, where you're trying to sell something to somebody and then they're like, well, I got to talk to this other person before I can make any decisions. Has anybody ever had that experience? Yes, right? You really have this thing where now all of a sudden you're trying to get to the sale, and then other people are like, well, I can't really, decide this. And Sean's saying, yeah, secret decision makers. Yeah, it's sort of this idea that there are hidden people behind the scenes. And one of two things is happening when that happens. Either that person does not understand your value and is just using that as an excuse to put you off. Well, there's three things. Or they're actually not really the right client for your business. Or three, you've just been talking to the wrong person the whole time. Okay. And so that's why really getting clear about who the right person is going to save you so much time and money, because you don't want to be in the situation where you're like, oh, this person's so interested. And then you give them your pitch and then they're like, yeah, but I got to talk to other people. And then, oh, here's what happens, right? Some of you know exactly what I mean. They go and they talk to their other people. And then they're like, oh yeah, they just said that now is not a good time, or what you have to offer isn't really right for us. Has anybody ever had that experience? I can tell you that I have, and it was terrible, right? Terrible. It's a terrible experience to go through all of that. And so that's why we first have to figure out who right person is for us and for our businesses. So the questions that you want to be thinking about when you're thinking about right person, or you're trying to figure out right person, is who actually is the person within that organization or within that place or that family unit or whatever it is, whoever your basic customer is, that has the actual pain point that your business solves. And I'm going to give you a quick example about what this might mean. So let's say, and I'm just using this as a very generic one. I don't think anybody on here might fit this bill, but I'm just going to use this as one. So let's say that you sell piano lessons, right? Well, why would you market to a kid, right? First of all, the kid doesn't have the pain point about piano lessons, most likely. It's the parent, right, that wants the kid to take piano lessons. And frequently, it's not just the parent, it's the mother that wants the kid to take piano lessons, right? And so if you're focusing on marketing to children for piano lessons, even though the child is the consumer of your piano lessons, let's say your demographic is children's piano lessons, then you're making a mistake, right? Because the kid doesn't make decisions that lead to checks being written, the second point, and they don't have the pain point. They could care less. And in fact, they probably don't even want to do piano lessons. Mom is making them do them, right? And so those are the things that we want to be thinking about. And we want to think about that even with the context of our own business. So for example, I run two very different types of businesses. I have a law firm, and then I have a consulting and training practice. And so in my law firm, I have two very specific types of right person clients. It's the wife, or it is the adult child of an aging parent. And I'm talking always in my marketing to those very specific people. I'm not talking to the husband, because even though sometimes the husband is the buyer of my service, 90 times out of 100, it is not the husband, it's the wife that is the one that drives that purchase decision. And so you really need to get clarity on that within your business. For example, you want to know who has that pain point and why they have it, and who stands to lose if the problem isn't being solved. So now let's use a corporate example. So since this is a minority women's business group, I'm going to I'll use diversity initiatives as an example. So a lot of times in diversity, when we have diversity leaders and things like that we're trying to get to, sometimes there isn't in a corporation a specific person that's assigned to a diversity initiative. Okay, they may not have a diversity initiative department. So most of the time, in my experience, what clients will do is they'll go, what my clients will do, which you, the business owner, is what I mean, will do is they're going to go talk to HR about their diversity training program that they have that's really great. Okay. But here's the problem. Most of the time, it isn't HR that stands to lose if the diversity problems within the organization aren't solved. Now, sometimes it is. There are certain demographics of companies where HR has a mandate to ensure that the different diversity problems that may be occurring within the business are being solved. But a lot of times it's not HR that has that problem. It is the leader of an individual department. So let's say the VP of a business division. It is the CEO or the business owner is the one that stands to lose because they're not attracting the right talent and their business is suffering as a result. And it also might be marketing that's having a problem because their company image is terrible because they don't focus on diversity and their business is suffering as a result, right? Like there's all different types of right person that could occur for a diversity initiative within a corporation. And in my experience, HR is usually not the right department. And yet, when I work with people that do diversity initiatives, a lot of times they're trying to go to HR because that seems to them to be the right one. I just want to make sure that you're clear that maybe that isn't. And if it isn't, that you are focusing on the right person. Does that make sense? If I didn't make sense there, please drop in the chat. I'm trying to pay attention a little bit to the chat and see if I'm not making sense to people. But I'm hoping that the flavor of what I just said makes sense. Okay, great. Thank you. And so when we're doing that, we want to take this right person from being unaware in the client journey that we even exist, because unaware people that are our right person people are the people that could be clients or customers of our business, but they don't even know we exist yet, right? This is our untapped market. And so we want to take them from that place of being unaware to a place of awareness. And we don't want to focus on the wrong person. We want to focus on the right person. So that's why I'm sort of pressing this button a lot, because I really have seen over the years that this is a big issue for a lot of business owners. So then, yes, we take them to this awareness, okay? And the question is what are you, business owner, doing to make the right person aware that your business or your service or your product even exists? What are you doing as that first marketing effort? And in this, I really want for you guys to be aware of the problem of being too generic, okay? A lot of times business owners really want to focus on generic marketing messages because they're afraid that if they talk to too specific of an audience, that they're going to lose people, okay? And so what they do as a default in their marketing is they try to talk to everybody. They try to talk to this giant segment of people in their marketing. But what happens if you do that is it's garbage in, just like this picture is. You're capturing all these things. And yeah, you might catch a few fish, but you're also capturing all the ocean garbage that comes along with just putting a net in and just seeing what happens, okay? And so we want to bait the hook with the worm that's going to most be attractive to our fish. Okay, you guys, I will tell you something about me. I use a lot of kooky examples when I talk about things. So just bear with me. I'm the queen of kooky examples. And so what is that worm? That worm is our message. And we don't want to have generic messages. We want to have messages that are specific to our specific. Thank you, Kim. I like that you like kooky because I can't help it. That's me. I'm a little bit kooky. My clients will tell you I'm very kooky. So there we go. So we want to have these kooky, yeah, kooky, as in strange. Specific messages. And so that does lead us to that next part of the marketing trifecta, which is the right message. Because if you want to effectively market to that right person, you have to be using the right message. And the right message, you guys, is not that big generic message. It's very specific messages that are designed to catch the attention of that exact person that you want to come into your client value journey and ultimately make a purchase decision. And that is why we want to think about generic versus specific. And we want to be understanding, who are we even talking to? Because you can't have a right message if you don't know who you're talking to, right? And you do this so that you can get them to sit up and pay attention, right? We are bombarded every single day with marketing message after marketing message after marketing message. You scroll through your phone. What is going to make that person stop the scroll and look at their phone and say, what is this? This is for me, right? That's what you guys want to do. You want to get them to stop the scroll, sit up, pay attention. And then you want them to take that next step on the journey. And that step brings them closer to revenue for you. But in order to get to the right message, we have to understand and deal with the problem before the problem. So what is the problem before the problem? Well, the problem before the problem is the problem that the client or the customer thinks that they have, but is sometimes, and actually the more you have an expertise-based business, your professional services, businesses, anything that really requires expertise, the more this is true, you know that the client actually has a very different problem, but the client thinks that they have a very specific problem. And that is whatever the client thinks is what the problem before the problem is, okay? And here's the thing, when you start this client value journey, you have to address this problem before the problem that the client thinks they have. Because if they're sitting there saying, help, I think that this is my problem, right? And then you're like, yeah, no, that's not really the problem. Your real problem is blah, 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 right? You, the expert, know that this is the problem. But if you start by doing this, you're going to have this disconnect. They're saying help, and you're saying, no, 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 no. How do you think that this makes your client feel? Somebody say, how does it make you feel when somebody does this to you? You're like, here's my problem. And the person's like, no, this isn't your problem. Your real problem is blah, 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 right? Or if you come across, right, you don't like me already. You're like, okay, you're sort of a jerk and you're arrogant and right? Like this is what happens in our client's mind. And we don't want to turn people off. We want to bring them in. We want to welcome them in because they're going to be like later, right? They're going to totally ghost us. So that's why at this stage, you have to address and acknowledge what the client thinks the problem is before you move on. And so one of the challenges that I want you guys to be aware of is in planning for your client value journey, this is something that you need to be doing, acknowledging and addressing the problem before the problem. Otherwise, like I said, later, they're ghosting you. So an example of what this might be, okay, I'm going to give you guys an example, is somebody would say, entrepreneurs will say all the time, this is a very common thing I hear from entrepreneurs or business owners. Well, I need or I want to make $1 million. Like there's something magical about $1 million I've seen. And so, okay, you can make $1 million. And if somebody said that to me, Nicole Wipp, in the context of what I do in my business, I would tell them, of course you can. And I would mean it because of course I'm sitting here right now, I'm looking at all of you and I'm telling you right now, if you said to me, I want to make $1 million next year, you know what I would be like? I'd be like, of course you can do that. And I would mean it because you can. Money's everywhere. Despite what anybody tells you, money is everywhere. But I would be thinking, what is your actual profit freedom number? Because your actual profit freedom number is different than what you tell me you want or need to make. And it's actually essential for you to know in order for you to achieve that goal. And I would be thinking, well, do you have fully developed workflows using the right technology? And I would be thinking, well, who protects your time to make this real? And I would be thinking, well, you know, Do you have effortless effort offers combined with scalable profit planning? I mean, these are things I'd be thinking. But if you came to me and you said, well, I want to make $1 million, and I started spouting all of this off at you, I don't know that you would want to talk to me anymore. In fact, you might run for the hills as fast as possible, right? Because this is overwhelming for me to say these things to most people. You don't know what I'm talking about, maybe, like you can sort of guess, but it's not clear what I'm saying, and et cetera, right? You guys get the point. And so the thing is, the problem before the problem is that the client believes in this example that they want or need to make $1 million. Okay. And so if I don't address the fact that you can, and there's a definite path to doing that, and et cetera, then I am not helping them realize that this can be done. Okay, I'm checking that box for them, and then I need to take that next step of the client journey with them. And that might be one or some or whatever of these things that are on this screen. But if I don't address what they want, then I have lost them already. And that's bad for my business. So the thing about the problem before the problem is you need to be thinking to yourself, if you don't know the answer, what is my client's problem before the problem? What are the things that they are thinking before they really understand what we do and how much we can help them? What are the things that are in their mind, and how can I address it in a respectful way before I try to get them to move on to the next thing? Because if we're not doing that, we're going to lose them. And so to me, I'm sorry, and I sort of jumped ahead of myself, because the thing is, the reality for most business owners is, unless they want to work themselves to death, you have to have the answers to my questions. Because the truth is, working hard isn't enough to make big money unless if you want to be successful in the way that doesn't require you to work all the time. So you can make big money if you want to work all the time. But in my business, people that come to me, that's not what they want. They want to have a life and make big money. And so that's my client demographic. Okay. And so I don't want to be telling them, though, yeah, you can make $1 million and here's 50 ways that you can work yourself to death. I'm not selling that. That's not what people are buying from me. And so I need to be clear about that whole picture before I even start talking to people. And that's what I'm saying to each one of you. What is your picture? What is your client's picture? What are the things that are on their mind? And are you addressing those things in your client value journey before you try to get them to make a next step? Because if people aren't taking next steps with you, I promise you that this is part of your problem in your business. And now you know it, and you can think about it and do something about it. It just goes back to, again, this is where the problem before the problem is part of what you need to be thinking about as specific messaging, so that you don't get overly generic with your clients, okay? Or your potential clients or your potential customers. So when we're at stage 1 of the client value journey, which is awareness, you want to be planning to understand who the right person is, get the right message, and then you also want to focus on the right medium. Now, the right medium is the place where you will send your messages to people. And so this could be social media, it can be magazines, it can be TV, it can be the newspaper. Where do we broadcast what we have to offer? Where do we tell people or get people to be aware about us? That's our medium. And so the key to this is, don't be lulled into thinking you have to be chasing the next bright, shiny social media platform, okay? Because if you have a business that caters to people 40, 50, 60 and above, and then you think that you need to be doing endless TikToks, you're in for a big waste of your time. TikTok is not a platform that caters to that demographic, right? So don't let people sell you down the river. There's a lot of marketing people out there that want to tell you, oh, you got to be on TikTok. And then you're like, oh my God, I got to be on TikTok. Maybe you do need to be on TikTok, maybe you don't. But if you're not focusing on the right medium, and if your clients aren't in the place where you're choosing to be, you're losing out on a ton of opportunity. You need to meet your ideal client, that right person, where they are. You need to conserve important budget resources, right? No small business has unlimited money. And you want to get your biggest bang for your buck in marketing spend. And when I talk about marketing spend, guys, I'm not just talking about spending actual money. I'm talking about your time, because a lot of marketing for small businesses is your time has to be spent creating marketing, right? And if you're not focusing on the right medium, your time is valuable. It's part of your value and what you have to do. So if you're spending too much time in the wrong place trying to get to people that aren't the right people, you are not getting the biggest bang for buck in your time. And so that's what right medium is about. And so once we know what the right medium is, we have the right person, the right message, and the right medium, now we can make people aware, and then we can start to engage. And this is, we know we're engaging, or people are engaging. It's very easy in social media. You can see comments, likes, responses, you can see that. But there are a lot of places where we can't see engagement. So you might not be completely aware of if your clients are engaging all the time. For example, we do a lot of newspaper advertising in one of my businesses. And because it's very targeted to my specific client demographic, okay? But I don't know if my clients are cutting out my ad until later. I don't know that they're engaging with my ad until later, because I can't see in real time, like you can on social media, that somebody's doing that. Or I can't see if somebody's bookmarking my content and saving it for looking at later. I can't see those things. I'm not necessarily totally aware of that. So just be aware on your end that your business may not have a clear path to understanding if people are engaging in real time. But part of planning for the engagement phase is that you want to be asking people, how did you find out about us? Because one of the things that's happened, for example, in my law firm, is people will say, oh my gosh, they'll come into my business and they'll be like, I cut out a whole stack of all the articles that Nicole wrote, and I've been saving them for 2 years. And they'll come in, they literally have a clip stack, or they'll be like, oh, I got this thing in the mail and I've been holding on to it and I've been meaning to call and I finally did. And that's how I know that people are engaging with my content, but it's after the fact. Does that make sense? So if you have offline marketing, you need to ask people, how are you finding out about us? And you need to really make that a part of your marketing process, to always ask and to always try to get the answer so that you can know what's working for your business and what's not working. Okay. I was joking around with Taylor, who's my assistant, who's on this call before, and she's like, oh, well, you know, you can do this in social media. And I said, you're so Gen Z. I'm like, because to you, everything is about social media. I'm like, but let's be clear, all of us that are on this call, not everything is about social media. And so people do engage in places that are not social media. And that's part of the reason why we want to ask about engagement and how people are engaging with us and how they find out about us, so that we can know. Like I said, you want to get that data or analytics. You want to know what that is at all times in places that you can get data and analytics, or you need to ask. That moves us to the next stage of the client value journey. And this is the stage where we enroll people. And we think of enrollment is, for example, if somebody gets on your email list or your mailing list, right? Like if you have a place where people can interact with your website and they can download something, okay? This is the place where people are starting to enroll. If they send an email or an inquiry, that's an enrollment, because it's an affirmative physical action to your business. It's really somebody reaching out to you. That's when we know they enroll, okay? Calling your business, maybe making a phone call. So that is what we call enrollment. And so once again, it's not always about the electronic thing. There are other ways that people enroll in our business. Like I said, email, mail, calling, okay? This is what we call in marketing lead capture, right? We're capturing a lead. We're capturing somebody's being interested in our business. And so when you think of traditional marketing speak, this is what the enrollment phase is lead capture. But the problem is, you guys, that most marketers will tell you that this is what comes first. They'll be like, oh, you need to have lead capture, lead capture. Has anybody heard that? Like, you've heard you've got to capture leads. And like, people have been led to believe that that's the very first thing. But as you can see, lead capture is not the first thing that has to happen in your client value journey. We have to go through unaware to aware, awareness to engage, and engagement to enrollment. So how do you do your lead capture? What are the ways that people are enrolling? And I'll give you an example of something that I see that people do all the time. Somebody might make an email inquiry, let's say, to your business, and then somebody responds to it, but nobody captures that and puts it into, let's say, some type of database form. It's just all sitting in somebody's email. Or is your business guilty of that? And for some of you, the answer is yes. And there's no shame in that. It's just something that happens to all of us. We get busy, or the phone calls that are coming in. Is somebody capturing those leads? Is somebody saying, okay, this is how many calls we got today, and this is what people were asking about, and these are the people that enrolled or raised their hand to get information or to make inquiries? Are you capturing that data? And if you're not, this is something that I very strongly recommend that you do make a plan for in your business, because then the question becomes, after somebody does that, what are they going to do next? What are you going to have them do next to move them through the next stage of that client value journey? And you have to plan for that. And if it's just sitting in your inbox, that's not helping you and it's not helping them, right? The thing about phases 1, 2, and 3, or stages 1, 2, and 3, is that, you know, there's very common marketing speak that'll tell you, you got to plan for 7 to 12 times minimum of contact at each one of these stages. And that is very true. I often say you have to date before you get married, right? Like, very few people they meet somebody and they get married the next day. Now, we know that it's possible. We have all kinds of historical examples of it happening, but we also know that that is really unusual. People don't just run right into marriage. They date, they get to know each other. And you want to think of your aware, engage, and enroll stages as that dating process. Your client is getting to know you. They're deciding, do I know, like, and trust this business such that I want to give them money? Okay. And that is very similar to dating. We have to go through that before we can get them to go to conversion. And yes, there will be some clients that will move through this much more quickly. And there will be some clients that it'll take them longer, but we want to plan for 7 to 12 times minimum for clients to get to that convert stage. So conversion, this part of the journey, is the first time that you're going to receive money from the client. And I do say the first time very specifically. The question that you want to be planning for in the conversion stage of your business is, how easy or how difficult is it for the client to go from inquiry to sale, to actually you getting a check or them giving you their credit card, or however it is that you get money in your business? Is it easy for the client to say yes and then buy? Or do you have all kinds of difficulties and hoops that they have to jump through that really postpone that sale and in an ineffective way for your business? And for a lot of companies, especially those of you that sell to corporate or sell business to business, I promise you, your conversion plan is in need of some help. You need to focus on it a little bit more. You need to get it to be much easier for your client to buy. And, you know, frequently we do things the way we do them because it's the way we always did them. One of the things we've learned in the last almost 2 years now is, well, that doesn't work, right? We have to do things in a new way. But I will tell you that continuously revising and looking at how easy is it for our client to go from enroll to conversion is a really important part of getting as much money into your business as possible. The easier you make it for people to buy, the more money you will make. It's literally that simple. But for many of you, it's the difficulty of buying, or the hoops that they have to go through are too many, and then you lose sales as a result. So the question you want to ask yourself is, are clients 100% clear on what they need to do next? Do they understand if you do this and then you do this and then you do this? Do they understand that? How that has been articulated to them? Have you given it to them in some way? Is there a visual? What is it you can do to enable that client to be able to know this is what the next step is? How do you give them that clarity? And every business, it's going to be different. In certain businesses, it's going to be a phone call. Hey, this is what you need to do next. In some businesses, it's going to be an email. In some businesses, it's going to be both. In some businesses, it might be a visual or a graphic. It could be all of these things, you guys. But you want to give clients clarity about how to come into your pipeline for sale. And then you want to energize them after that sale by making delivery of your product or service easy for them. Okay, because when you do that, when you bring a client and you make that buying process easy and you make the service delivery or the product delivery service easy, you energize them to go to that next stage. And I mean, an easy example of this, by the way, is Amazon, right? So you go into Amazon, you buy something, you get it. And even in Hawaii, where we don't get things quite as quickly as people on the mainland do, ordering from Amazon for the most part is really easy. And then it magically shows up on your doorstep. And so you could be energized because it's so easy to go back there and buy. And small business owners that have products, I mean, right? This is terrible in a way as a small business owner, because you're competing with the ease if you have products that Amazon provides to their clients or customers. But regardless of whether you are a service provider or a product provider or a professional service, whatever you do, you want to think about how can I make things easy the way Amazon does? Because it isn't an accident that Amazon every single year makes more and more money and they take up more and more market share, because the way that they have made it easy for people energizes people to re-engage and then convert again with another sale. And that is the process of ascension. But one of the ways that you can energize people through to the next sale is make a part of your process to always tell people what the next purchase decision they're going to make with you is. Okay. To you, this might be obvious. You might think, well, yeah, you do this, and then the next thing you do is this. You might think that, but I promise you, clients don't really necessarily understand that or know it. I was talking to somebody who has a supplements business. They do supplements. And what they do is, based on a purchase decision of a supplement, they curate the next supplement for somebody to stack on top of that supplement for that person to get the best results out of the initial supplement that they got. And they explain, this is why adding this supplement into your stack is going to improve the results that you get. Okay. And doing that, some people do buy right away. Some people don't, but it's planted in the person's mind that this is my next step to help me solve the problem that I bought this original supplement for. And so think about your products, or if you have a service, what is the next service that your business can provide to that person and get them to buy again? Marketing 101, you guys, is that the easiest client to get, the easiest money to get is from the person that's already paid you. Okay. And so you don't want to not have a plan to get somebody to pay you again. You need to have a plan for how you're going to get paid for other things that you can provide or do for people. It may not be to the level of what their original purchase is, or it might be sending them into more expensive things, depending on your business model. It doesn't matter. The purpose of this planning is to, no matter what, plan for them to buy again. But we have to focus on this energized stage and what we're doing to make it easy for them to have that first purchase and then get to that next one. Now, the ascension process for some businesses might be difficult. If you're a professional service provider, there are some places where that's difficult. But this is where using your creative energy can really make a difference and make your business stand out from the crowd. Because if you can start keeping your eyes open for other things that your businesses can do for clients and customers, you really can, even if you're in a very heavily commoditized business, do something for your client that they might not be able to get from somebody else who does something similar to you. So thinking about and planning for that ascension process is really important. All right, I'm going to stop for just a second and ask, does anybody have any questions up to this point about anything that I've said? Because I don't want to get too far ahead and have you guys not be able to ask questions. Is there anything that anybody wants to ask me? Okay, I'm going to assume that that means this is clear. Oh, good. Okay, thank you, Keisha. I appreciate that. So that's where we want to go, is through that ascension. Once we have a plan for that, then we can plan for that next stage of the client value journey, which is promotion. Now, this is the stage where the client is truly bought into your business. They are a believer in what you do or what you provide. And if you have done a good job in your client value journey, your clients are now eager to share your business with like-minded people and, tell to other people about what you've done for them. I do want to be clear though, this is very important. Promotion, this promote stage is not about you. I had a question from somebody prior to this about sort of the icky feelings that promotion or marketing can engender in us as business owners. Like it feels sort of sometimes, does anybody feel like that? Like sometimes it feels gross to promote yourself or you feel uncomfortable about it? Tell the truth. Put it in the chat. Are you the kind of person that is not a comfortable feeling for you? Good girl. I like that. No, I like the nope. Yeah, that's a lot of us, right? You feel uncomfortable promoting yourself. I'm going to say something too. I want you all to hear me. This is so important. It's not about you. It's never about you. It never was about you, and it's never going to be about you. And if you keep holding on to this idea that it is about you, you're going to suffer. Your business is going to suffer. And guess what? Your potential clients are going to suffer. It's not about you. Every single thing that you are doing throughout this client value journey is to help the client make a good purchase decision. The good purchase decision is about you solving their problem that they cannot solve on their own without some help. And the help is from you because you do it the best, right? And so I want you to think about this. I want you to, even afterward, I want you guys to hear me, okay? Because this is the problem that I am dealing with so many people that are even on this call. And I talk about with people all the time. You have to realize that you have to share the value of what you have to offer with your clients or your customers. And it's about that. It's about the value. It's about what that's going to do for them. It's about the problem that it solves for them. It's about the ways in which it helps them, not you. The fact that you make money off of it is secondary to the fact that you are helping them. I mean, listen, right? I don't work for free. And I don't think any of you really expect me to. I hope you don't. Because I have a family and I have bills to pay. We all understand that, right? I mean, some people in here are natural sort of social worker hearts, and bless you, right? But please remember that if you have a business, the purpose of your business is to make money, and the purpose of and so that you can provide solutions to people that need them. And you can't provide solutions to people that need them if you're not making money, because unless you are independently wealthy, which I'm going to assume at this point you're not, then you can't do these things for free. And really, people don't expect you to, okay? So just remember, it's not about you. When people promote your business, they're promoting the results that you bring. They're promoting the fact that your business has helped them solve their problem, and they want to share that with somebody else. Does this make sense? Somebody else is having that problem. They want to share that. Like just think about just as a basic thing. Let's say, all right, depending on where you are, you may not have been to a restaurant in a long time. Some of you have, some of you have not. But remember back in the day when we regularly went to restaurants? You would go to this restaurant that was new to you, let's say, and then you had this dish and you were like, that was the best thing I've had in a year or 10 years or whatever. That was the best. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to tell everybody because that was so good. I got to share it with people, right? Or you go to a movie and you're like, oh my gosh, that movie was great. Or, you know, in the last year and a half, one of the big things everybody's on is like, what's on your Netflix list, guys? Like, what are you watching? Like, people like to share that which they enjoy, that which pleases them, that which makes them happy, that which solves their problems, right? We enjoy that process. It makes us feel good about ourselves to share good things with other people, right? And that's what we want to have our clients feel. We want our clients to feel like they want to share what we've offered to them because it did good things for them. And they want other people to have that feeling too, because it doesn't cost them anything to make other people feel good, right? It doesn't cost me anything to share a delicious meal I had. It doesn't cost me to share with people that I loved this movie or this show I thought the show was so cool. And it made me feel something in my heart or whatever, right? It doesn't cost me anything. And I like to share those experiences because that's what makes us human, right? Shared experiences is what makes us human. And so just remember, when you're going through this entire client journey and then we get to this promote stage, you're building to this promote stage, but it's never about you personally. Now, let me caveat that a little bit. Listen, I, Nicole Wipp, am not for everybody. I have a personality that is definitely not for everybody. And there are people on here that will tell you that's true because I'm hard. I can be hard and I can be myself, you know, and that there's rough edges and there's smooth edges. I have both, right? Because I'm a human being. And so I'm not for everybody, but I'm okay with that. And so to that extent, maybe I'm not for everybody, but the people that I am for, I'm really for them, right? And those are the type of people that I'm looking for. And those are the type of people that I can really help. And those are the type of people that I'm going to help get great results for, okay? And similarly, you want to think about that within your business and just try to really resist making any of it about you. Always make it about the results, right? That is a specific reason why I call my business the results catalyst. It's not about Nicole. It's about the results that you get. It's about creating results. It's about you getting results in your business. It's not about me. Okay. And so that's really important. And if any of you can leave today, even settling that in your mind, I think you've come a far way from where you were before, because that does tend to be a big problem that a lot of business owners have. So the thing that you want to do is, how am I making them feel good about promoting their experience with your business? How can I engender that feeling within my clients and my customers? What are we doing throughout this whole value journey that is bringing somebody to the point that this is what they want to do? And that's what you need to be thinking about at this stage and planning for at this stage. That then leads us to this 8th stage, which is referral. Now, I can imagine, and I was thinking about this earlier, that promote and refer feel like they're the same things, but they're not. Promotion is much more passive, okay? like I share a recipe, or I'm sharing, sort of just broadcasting it generally. Referral is a very specific thing where somebody is talking to a specific person and saying, you must do this, or I'm going to introduce you to this person because this person did this thing, and I'm going to send you that link, and you've got to buy this, and here it is. I'm going to give this to you. I'm going to actively participate in you purchasing from that business or that business owner. Okay. Promotion is a passive sort of, hey, I'm just talking about it. Referral is, I'm going to lead somebody by the hand to your business. Does that make sense? Because it feels similar, and it is similar, but it's not the same. Okay. Okay. And so we only get people that are willing to do that when they've been cultivated through that client value journey. And so we want to have a simple way. We want to have a simple process for a client to make that referral. And we want to, maybe as part of our referral, ask for referrals. And so I know that for some of you, the struggle is going back to that last thing that we just talked about, like that feels icky that I might ask for a referral. But I'm telling you something, if you've done a good job, if you've cultivated people through your client value journey, they want to refer you. They just don't always know how. They're like not really sure. And if you say, hey, if you want to refer us, here's what you would do. A lot of people appreciate you just telling them, just do this. And they actually want it from you, and they're more than willing to do it. So the point of this is, don't let your feelings of ickiness get in the way of solving people's problems for them, right? Because if you believe, as you should, that your business has something really valuable to offer that really helps people, that what you do as a business owner and what your business provides is something that people want and need, then asking for a referral isn't icky. It's just your way of helping even more people. And that should be what we want to do. It's not always about money. It's about helping as many people as we can with what we have to offer, with what our expertise is, with what our products or solutions are. And that should be part of what we want to do as business owners, right? And so that is what the refer stage is all about. Then the client value journey ends with re-energizing. So once we've taken everybody through that, now a lot of times a referral client is really ripe for this process of reascending them back into another product. So referral is really being appreciative. Clients refer you, you appreciate them. Clients are in that space. You are really in that space with them. This is a space where they're going to be willing to keep ascending back through with you. And so you want to be planning for that stage as well. What can you do? That's your question. That's the planning question that you want to be asking yourself. What can you do to reward, and re-energize in stage 9? Okay, I do want you guys to know that we have 2 resources for you from today's webinar, and they are the Client Value Journey PDF and the 9 Freedom Catalyst Scorecard. The scorecard is related to all the other places in which very often businesses need to be thinking about places to improve. And so you can access those at this link that is on this slide. Also, Taylor, can you please drop the link in the chat? Okay, so Taylor's dropped the link in the chat. And also that will be on the replay, and I will give that to the center that they can embed that link in their resource page for you after today. But those 2 resources are available to you at that place, okay? Right now, though, I'm pretty sure that some of you are feeling like, I just took a fire hose and I looked at you and I said, open your mouth. And then I turned it on full blast and told you to drink, right? There's a lot of that I just said. That whole planning for the client value journey, it's a lot. I'm not going to lie. But I want you to tame the overwhelm, because the problem with overwhelm is if we get too overwhelmed in our businesses, what do we do very often? We either succumb to busy work and spinning our wheels, or we do nothing, right? It's one of those two things. And I don't want you to do that, because a lack of clarity is the enemy of success. And so I'm about to give you a piece of clarity. Pick one single thing that you can improve, just one, and pick the thing that's easiest of everything I've talked to you today about, and just do that one little tiny thing. Because even if that's all you do as a result of this webinar, you will have moved your business forward. Okay. And so you don't need to run right out and complete all the stages of that client value journey tomorrow. In fact, you're not going to be able to. Some of you have some of the pieces in place. Some of you know that you need to plug in some holes, right? I mean, I'm sure some of you are like, yeah, there are places that I could be better. That one, we sort of got that down. You know, some of you are like, I need to do all of them, right? It doesn't matter, guys. It's okay. First thing you need to do, if you haven't, is pick who the right person is and get clear on that. And then you need to do right message and then right medium. So if I was going to give you any advice, stay there, right? If you haven't done those things yet, but if you have, just pick one thing, challenge yourself to do it, set aside the time and make it happen, because that's the only way you're going to have progress. Progress does not happen by magic, guys. It happens by doing. Okay. And we just have to tame the overwhelm and do one thing at a time. And then a year from now, you will find that you've done a lot of things. And that's all that you need to do. Give yourself a break a little bit. Okay. And that's my challenge. All right. Thank you. I'm giving it back. Does anybody have any questions? And you can come on and talk if you want, or does anybody have anything you want to say? Come on, talk to us. We have a few minutes left. Yeah, drop them in or unmute yourself and come on. Feel free to come on. I think that's okay, right, Sean? At this point in the game. Yeah, thank you. Does anybody have something that you already know that you're going to do for sure as a result of today? That you're going to improve? You can drop in the chat or you can talk. Either way.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the issues that I have noticed, I have a lot of experience in what I do, but the last 2 years, and I was very, very good at naturally attracting client and so on and so forth. But what I have noticed as the technology is affecting my field very, very much, like everything is available online. Everybody think they want to do things themselves. I am a designer, interior design, interior architect. And it seems like it is really, really, I'm getting lost in anymore who is my client, because the clients are not clients anymore. They are a lot of people, they just want to pick up your brain and they do their own thing. In result, they drag you, they don't pay you, and they go and they purchase online, they do things wrong or right. They think they have done a good job, but it has becoming a challenge. How do you find out who's your client now?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because you brought up something that I think is important to all of us, which is times have changed and they're continuing to change. I hope that we all can agree that on some level, we're never going to go back to whatever normal was before, presuming that we ever really knew what that meant, right? And so there's going to have to be this understanding of the new world that we're living in and continuing to evolve through that. And so the thing about that is that you want to be like looking at when people, even if people are picking your brain, what is it that they feel like they need to know? If people want to come to you and they just want to like come in and come back out, dart in and dart out, right? Because I think that's what I'm hearing. They sort of want to come in and ask you something and then they want to leave, but they don't want to commit to anything, right? That's part of the reason why you need to develop this client value journey. Because before, we had this thing where a lot of business owners had what I call the thrill of the kill. Okay, what do I mean by the thrill of the kill? Like you could get somebody to come in and they would buy quickly from you, right? And that's what we call the thrill of the kill in Nicole Wipp world. But now what we're having to do is instead of being a hunter, we need to be a farmer. And so we need to plant the seeds and grow the crops. And that does require a little more patience from us. And I'll tell you, everybody knows I have no patience. It's very hard for me, Nicole Wipp, to be a farmer. I'm definitely a hunter. Some people are more natural farmers and hunters. It doesn't matter. If you didn't struggle with that before, though, and you do struggle with it now, what you need to be thinking about is in those first couple stages of the client value journey, how can I start putting out messages to people that might be the right person? And then I can see what sticks. Okay. See what people are paying attention to. See who it is, because maybe you need to try 3 different messages or one message to 3 different client categories, so to speak. So using my earlier example for diversity, maybe I need to have a message and I need to try that message to HR, to the VP of a division, and to, what did I say is my third one? See, I don't even remember what I said. I come up with these examples and then I can't remember. So you to whoever the third category is, and then which one of those bites? And then can I take them on the next step? Sometimes it takes you going back to that beginning. And so you're going to have more success if you try a single message with multiple different types of people before you try multiple messages with multiple people, right? You're testing. You have to go back to the testing stage. And that usually is what needs to happen at this point if things have evolved out of your control. And yeah, and so Tracy's saying, well, how much do you give of yourself? Because this goes right into your question before when somebody's a new potential client. And then Esther earlier said, well, yeah, the more you give away for free, the more they take advantage of you and they don't appreciate you, right? And that's the thing. You don't want to give it all away for free. You can't. And you're never going to bring clients along the journey, because what's happening in like a lot of our businesses is people want to, they want to dart in and they don't want to dart out. They don't want to commit. And the reason they don't want to commit is that because they don't yet see your value and what you bring to them. And if that's true, then you need to be able to do that. But you need to have those conversations. You need to start finding out, what are these pain points for people? What are the problems that they haven't yet solved that my business could address? And then, guys, so this is why, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm stumbling over my words, but there's so many things I have in my brain. My mouth can't keep up with my brain. This is why I have the 9 freedom catalysts, because none of these things operate within isolation. You can't just do marketing without having what we would call effortless offers. So what are effortless offers? You need to know what that is. You can't just have effortless offers without authority boundaries. Going back to Tracy's question and your question, how do I keep people from picking my brain and wasting all my time and I can't ever get anything done? And by the way, nobody buys anything either. You have to have authority boundaries. These are 2 more of the freedom catalysts, right? And so all of these things have to work together in order for your business to really work for you. And by the way, also work for the client. It's more than just marketing. You have to know, what are my offers? And then what are my boundaries to those offers? And you have to plan for those things. You have to be like, this is my limit of what I'm willing to give. For example, here's a good example. I'm going to use myself right now. I told you guys at the very beginning of this, you're not getting my slides from me. I don't just provide you a PDF of the slides, because that is one of my boundaries. I don't just give away my slides to people. I put a lot of time and effort and work into them. And I hope you guys feel that. I hope you see it. I hope you feel that I've given you some value today. But I'm not just going to give that part away for free. That's my boundary. And you might not like that. It might make you a little angry. Some of you might stomp away from this and be mad about it. I'm okay with that, because that's my boundary. That's a decision I've made in my business about what I am going to do. And We all have to live with that decision, whatever that is, right? And I have to live with it as well. So that's some of the things that I want you guys to see. And I even said to Sean before we came on, because she asked me, are you going to give the slides? And I said, oh no, I forgot to talk to you about that. And I said, and that's a part of my business lesson, because you don't give away everything all the time. And if people want it, they've got to do something to get it. And that's okay, right? I hope you guys can see, based on this client value journey, that that's okay. It's okay to make people take that next step. And if they don't want to, that's okay. That's their choice. But if they want to take that next step with you, you give them the next step. And I've given you guys the next step. I have. If you go get those, if you go and you go to that PDF, I'll give you the next step. But I'm not just going to give you it all for free, because you guys, it's your business and you've got to make some effort toward it, right? And that's just part of it, right? Like that's part of what we want to be thinking about as business owners, so that we can more powerfully move our businesses forward and more powerfully help our clients move themselves forward to what they're trying to achieve. Because the bottom line is, my clients aren't going to achieve anything if I just give them away a couple free things and then they piddle around with it. No, they got to get to work. And if they don't want to do that, that's their choice. But then they're not going to get the results that they want. And that's just part of the cycle of what we do, right? And so that's just what I want you guys to be thinking about as you're within your businesses. What are those boundaries? What am I willing to give away? What are the plans and the steps that I need to have? And just take one thing at a time. Don't beat yourself up. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you
so much. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm okay. I'll take questions as long as somebody has one. Did I miss anybody?
I don't think so, Nicole. That was wonderful. Folks, don't be shy. If you want to drop in a question, I can read it out if you don't want to unmute. We do have some time. We've got 8 more minutes, Nicole, of you.
Oh, good. And, Susan just said nonprofits are businesses too. And that's right, right? Like, you still got to pay people, right? There are people that rely on your business for money. So if you have employees, which, by the way, guys, if you're a solopreneur, you're never going to get to the next level without team. Oh, here's some of my clients are on this call and they know I'm very aggressive about this topic. So anyway, but thank you, Joe. Thank you for coming. So just be aware that, that's part of your duty as a business owner. You've got to help all the people that you've committed to helping. And part of that is your team. And that's true for nonprofits. Got to pay people. That's part of the deal. And that makes us all better, right? We're all better by having that. It makes the community better. It makes our corner of the world better. Anyway, I'm just preaching to the choir now, I know.
I love it. We're on the same page. The only exception is as a grant-funded center, we do offer things for free. That said, we do make you jump through the hoop of filling out a registration or client intake form. So please do. And then also please provide us feedback for this webinar. That was a lot, like you said, Nicole, but I think it catered to everyone in the different spectrum, wherever you are in your client value journey. Any last questions? Let's see.
Yeah, Tracy just said, how do you know when you need to bring someone on to work with you? So here's my answer to that question, Tracy. I've been interviewed about this topic a lot because this is one of my big high horse topics. And I will tell you that you need to start planning for that immediately, even if you're not going to make it a reality immediately. And you need to bring someone to work with you when your ability to make progress comes to a standstill. Because I promise you, you will get to that place if you aren't there already. If you feel like you're working harder and never getting anything done, if you feel like you're spinning your wheels constantly, if you feel like you don't have enough bandwidth to do all the things, that's when you need somebody. And for most business owners, it's way earlier than what you think it is. Okay. And yet there is a lot of data. This isn't just my opinion, data. Okay. That tells us that you will make way more money by bringing on team. So for those of you that are like, I can't afford to do it. Okay. But you can't afford not to do it. And you will actually make more by bringing on team members, because it's just the law of bandwidth. If you don't have the bandwidth to do all the things, you can't make more money. So that's my answer to that. I hope that's helpful, Tracy. And it's somewhat vague, but it's also very specific at the same time, I think. Yeah, don't, you have to get past that. I can't afford it. That's a very common thing. And I'm sure that every single person that has been listening to this can relate to that feeling. But you do need to be aware that in order to grow, that is one of your logical next steps. And to make more impact and to be better and to help your clients even more, that is your logical next step. Okay. Thank you so much, Shannon and team. You know, I really do appreciate this opportunity to come and talk to everybody today. And I really appreciate what you guys do for our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. And thank you, everyone. Again, if I can just plug our survey, we'll also include that in a follow-up email. So thanks, everyone. Please let us know if the center can develop and build other programs or related programs. Perhaps you'd love to have Nicole back. Let us know. Otherwise, we can't tell. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.